And with that, we do have some time reserved here at the end for questions. So I'm going to ask our presenters to all, if you'd like to get on webcam so we can all see your bright shining faces, and we're going to try to get through as many of these questions that we've received as possible. And so while we're doing that, we actually have Melissa Shepard from JMT, who has been manning the questions on the back end with me. She's been doing a fantastic job kind of gathering everything. And so she's going to lead our session today and kind of ask the questions to everyone. So Melissa, I'll let you take it away.
All right, thank you very much. Secretary Nandam, a question came in for you. If we determine a road speed based on the 85th percentile, is it consistent excuse me, let me start over. If we determine a road speed is not consistent with surrounding, what practical or feasible measures can be implemented? In practice, few options are available without major cost.
All right, hey, so obviously, the best thing to do is look at the geometry changes on the roadway to create that self-correcting facility, right, that I was talking about. But, we all know how resources are pretty limited, and we got to wait for the right project to make those changes, the perfect changes. But, there are several what I would call low-cost adjustments that you could do along facilities to bring the speeds down, right? And you heard the District 7's presentation. There was discussion about context-based signal timing, right? So we don't realize this, but signal timing, when we do the platooning, right, we set the green times for the platooning for certain speed. So if you think that hey, that particular 85th percentile speed is not appropriate, then you could use small adjustments to how you design your signal timing along the corridor to control speeds, right? That's one simple thing that you could do. And you got speed feedback signs that you could implement. Then some striping changes to create a chicaning effect that you could implement, either localized through micro resurfacing, or when you got a resurfacing project going through, you could do that. We did multiple pilot projects in partnership with District 7 for speed zoning, and we did test a different variety of speed management techniques. And one of the projects that we've pursued is on Cortez Road, where we had, it's a pretty high crash, it's a high crash corridor, both from vehicles and pedestrian crashes. So what we did was we identified multiple crossing locations, and then just not focus on building the crossing, but creating that chicaning effect where we adjusted the curbing, right, so that as folks are driving closer to the crosswalks, they get that narrowing effect, and then are looking at putting some minor landscaping features so that you create that enclosure effect as they're approaching the crosswalk. So what I see with the majority of the engineering community is we focus so much on traditional design practices, right? Traditional design practices, this is how we've been doing, this is how we're going to do it. But there's a lot of creativity that can be brought into engineering. That's what AASHTO calls it. It's always been there. It's flexibility in design, right? And if we bring the creative side of it into your thought process, into your decision process, you can actually bring in those low-cost treatments to make a difference. So in summary, what I would suggest is, making sure you bring your creative side.
All right, great, thank you. So we have one for Kevin Burgess. Can HSIP funds be used for traffic studies to identify locations or for right-of-way for safety improvement?
Okay, thank you. I was going to say, when it comes to, typically right-of-way is not part of most of what I know FDOT has typically done, but in terms of traffic studies, I know that HSIP funding is used in the pre-construction as well. So I know a lot of what the districts use is a lot of their safety studies are using HSIP funding and again, those things are either a safety study of an existing location, or even the districts even use the HSIP funding to analyze their crash locations and so forth. So yes, it can be used for pre-construction.
Okay, great. Let's have one for Deborah Chestnut. What software in District 1 is used to project or estimate bicycle demand?
It's a GIS model that uses the screening criteria to it uses the existing GIS layers, database layers from land use, population, all of like the demographics and population and transportation characteristics together. So it's actually a model, GIS model is the software.
Hey,
Okay,
Deborah,
great.
can I add on one small thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the state purchased streetlight data, which is the bike ped demand on our facilities. And the purpose of buying that streetlight data is to get an idea of where pedestrian demand is. And then what Deborah mentioned, using the GIS layers of the transportation, where the demand is based on land use and all that stuff also is taken into account.
So the formula has many components: streetlight data, crash data. The demand is calculated, like LK say, with using, it's behind the scenes. It's an analysis with all of those database layers together, calculating the actual needs, the needs scoring. And so all the roadways are ranked through this screening criteria and needs score.
Okay, great. Ginger, what funding source did you use for the signal cabinet wraps?
I was very fortunate to have support from my DTOE Ron and of course District Secretary Gwynn. And we did this safety initiative through state funding to accomplish this particular goal. So we got allocated the state funds and we got support from the Center for Urban Transportation, Cutter, and through their support, we were able to get this accomplished.
Okay, great. For Kevin Burgess, is there any bike or ped training planned for Monroe County?
We've actually been working with FDOT and our Federal Highway Administration Resource Center right now to develop the training plan the training plan's already been developed, but we've been working on dates and so forth. A lot of what you're going to see is actually going to be virtual for the next several months. In fact, at least through July, from Federal Highway Administration will at least be virtual. So that would obviously be available statewide. And of course, we'd make that available to anyone that the LTAP Center could get the information out to. So that would be obviously available to Monroe. But in terms of specifically an actual location there, the last one we would have had would have been, and the closest would have been Miami last February of 2020. So.
Okay, great. For John Kubicki and Deborah Chestnut, if you could give one piece of advice related to development of safety treatments in District 1, what would it be?
Ooh, good question. Deborah, I can start and you can finish it if you'd like.
Okay.
I would say listen. It's always important to hear from the actual people that live there, as well as the local agencies. It's always important. FDOT and District 1, we're in Bartow. We're not boots on the ground like we are in some other areas where when we hear from the locals, it's important for us to be able to analyze it, understand what the actual issues are, getting to the root of the problem, and then making it where it's something that's going to be a long-term beneficial project. So I think there's a lot of components that go into it, but I would say listening.
Agreed. I like the community input part of our studies because it allows us to listen to where what are they going? What's the destination? How are they using the roadway? What's, what is the activity on the streets? So so a piece of advice would be to, get the community together and hold a charrette. What is the vision for your community? Put that in and document the vision, and then take the steps forward to implement that vision.
All right, thank you very much. I know we're just about out of time, and I know there are some questions that we did not get to. So we will kind of put those together, put our heads together, and try to get answers out to you on those in the coming week or so. I'm going to hand things over to our secretaries for closing remarks, since I don't think we have time to hear from everyone. So let's go to Secretary Gwynn first, if you'd like to give some closing remarks.
I would just, first I'd like to thank it. It looks here like we've maintained somewhere close to 400 people on a line most of the time, even towards the end here as we go over. But I thought it was a great opportunity to share not only some ideas of safety possibilities, but also to show that a lot of folks are working together already, and everything we do will just continue to enhance that cooperation. And there's a lot of resources out there. We need to make sure everybody knows what they are so that we can share those. So thank you all for participating, and I'll turn it over to LK.
Hey, thanks, David. First I want to thank everyone for attending this this session, and to all the speakers. Right, excellent presentations. I've learned some listening to you, through as you're going through your presentations. What I would want to focus on is, in my closing comment, it's partnerships, right? Together we can make things happen. If we work in silos, if the department and the local partners, we work in silos, we cannot make any difference, right? You've heard a theme where the last question was, what would be that one advice? And I'm very proud of my folks saying that partnerships are important, right? Understanding and listening to the communities is important. So if we can work together and bring the type of resources that are needed for making a difference to your communities, that's the best way to go about it. So let's work together to bring these numbers down. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you to all of our presenters. We could not have done this exciting Districts 1 and 7 Local Agencies Safety Summit without you. Appreciate your hard work and your dedication. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you again to our presenters, and thank you to our audience for joining us. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.